There is a number printed on every credit card. Clear, bold, impossible to miss. Your credit limit, $5,000, $10,000, sometimes more. We're taught to believe that number represents risk. Spend too much and you've crossed the line. Stay below it and you're being responsible. But that number is not the real cost, because the most expensive part of a credit card is the part you never see. Not on the card, not on the statement, not even in the fine print you never read. Credit cards are often described as tools. Neutral, useful, harmless if used correctly. A way to smooth expenses. A bridge between paychecks. A reward system for responsible adults. And for some people, that story is true. They pay on time. They collect points. They feel in control. But systems are not designed around the best-case scenario. They are designed around what happens most often. They are built on patterns, on habits, on delays, and on the quiet assumption that life will eventually get in the way. If credit cards only worked when people paid them off immediately, the system wouldn't survive. No industry this large is built on perfect behavior. It's built on the moment something goes wrong. An unexpected expense, an emergency, one bad month. This video is not about how credit cards work. You already know the basics. Swipe. Pay later. Interest if you don't. This video is about something else. About a cost that doesn't arrive all at once. A cost that grows quietly month after month while everything still feels normal. Because when a system is truly efficient, you don't feel it working. You feel comfortable. Fine. In control. Until one day, you look back and realize you've been paying for years. Every credit card has a limit, but that limit is not the price. This video is about the hidden price tag of credit cards and why it was never meant to be obvious. Credit cards are usually explained in a very simple way. You borrow money. If you pay it back on time, nothing bad happens. If you don't, you pay interest. End of story. That explanation sounds fair, clean, almost educational, but it leaves something out. Because credit cards are not designed to be understood. They are designed to be used. The way most people use them is very different from the way they imagine they will. Most people believe they are borrowing money from their future self. I'll pay it off next month. Next bonus. Next paycheck. In their mind, the debt already has an exit, but that exit depends on a future that hasn't happened yet. A future with no surprises, no emergencies, no interruptions. That future rarely arrives. What actually happens is quieter. The balance doesn't disappear. It settles in. It becomes part of the background. Something you carry like a low-level noise you eventually stop noticing. Minimum payments make this easier. They don't solve the problem. They slow it down. They turn urgency into routine. 10 minutes a month. One click. Problem postponed. And postponed problems feel smaller than immediate ones. That's the misunderstanding. People think interest is the punishment for doing something wrong. But interest isn't there to punish you. It's there to make waiting feel reasonable, to stretch time, to soften consequences, to keep you calm. As long as you are calm, you keep using the system, and the system keeps working. Not against you, not for you, just as designed. Most credit card debt doesn't come from luxury, it comes from normal life. Groceries, gas, medical bills, one expense you didn't plan for. The card doesn't ask why you need it, it just works. And because it works, you don't stop to ask what it's costing you over time. You don't feel the price today, you feel it spread out. Quietly. That's why so many people say the same thing. I don't know how it got this high. They do know how, they just never felt it happening. That's the misunderstanding. People think debt is a moment. In reality, it's a process. Interest is often described as a percentage. 18%, 24%, sometimes more. A number that sounds technical, abstract, easy to ignore. But interest is not really a number. It's a clock. A clock that starts ticking the moment the balance stops being paid in full. At first, it moves slowly, the payments feel manageable, the balance barely changes. Nothing feels urgent. That's not an accident. Early interest is meant to be tolerated. If the first months were painful, people would stop using the card. So the system gives you time. Time to adjust. Time to normalize the debt. Time to believe this is just how things are now. And while nothing dramatic happens, the clock keeps running. Interest doesn't just charge you for money. It charges you for time. The longer the balance stays, the more expensive each dollar becomes. $100 today is not the same $100 6 months from now. It's heavier. Not because you spent more, but because you waited. Minimum payments are what make this possible. They create the illusion of progress. You pay. The system thanks you. Your account stays open. But most of what you paid didn't touch the original purchase. It paid for the privilege of carrying it longer. This is why balances shrink so slowly. Not because you're bad with money. Not because you lack discipline. Because the math was designed that way. Credit card interest is not aggressive. It's patient. It doesn't need to trap you, it only needs you to stay. Stay a little longer than you planned. Stay through one more month. Then another. And eventually, the price of the original purchase is no longer the point. What matters is how long you've been paying for it. That's when people realize something is wrong. They look at the total. They look at the years. And they ask a different question. Not, what did I buy? But why am I still paying? Because by then, the clock has already done its job. By the time most people realize something is wrong, the damage doesn't look dramatic. There's no single mistake. No moment where everything collapses. Just a balance that never seems to go away. That's because credit card debt doesn't fail loudly, it fades into your life. It becomes a monthly line item, another bill, another obligation you plan around. And when something becomes routine, it stops feeling optional. This is where behavior changes. People don't stop spending. They adjust. They avoid large purchases but keep the small ones. They tell themselves it's temporary, that next month will be different. But next month keeps arriving with the same balance waiting. At this stage, debt starts shaping decisions. Not directly, quietly. You choose stability over opportunity. You delay risks. You avoid uncertainty. Not because you're irresponsible, but because flexibility has a cost now. The card is no longer just a payment method. It's a constraint. And constraints change how people think. When money is tight, your focus narrows. You stop asking long-term questions. You start managing short-term pressure. This is not a personal failure. It's a predictable outcome of carrying open-ended debt. A system that charges you for time also charges you for attention. The mental space debt occupies is part of the price, and it's never listed on the statement. That's why credit card companies don't need you to collapse. They need you functional, paying, carrying, continuing. As long as the system doesn't break you, it keeps working, and the longer it works, the harder it is to leave. Not because you're trapped, but because leaving requires margin. And margin is exactly what the system slowly takes away. Credit card companies often say they succeed when customers use their products responsibly. That sounds reassuring. But responsibility in this system doesn't mean freedom from debt. It means predictability. A customer who always pays in full is reliable but not valuable for very long. The system doesn't depend on those customers. It depends on the ones who carry balances. Not because they are careless, but because they are consistent. Consistent payments, consistent interest, consistent time. This is why rewards exist. Points, cashback, miles. They are not gifts, they are anchors. Small returns that keep behavior stable. You don't change systems that reward you even slightly. And when rewards fade into the background, debt remains. What looks like generosity is really calibration. Just enough benefit to keep you engaged. Just enough cost to keep you paying. This isn't a conspiracy. It doesn't need to be. It's simply alignment. A system aligned with its incentives will always behave the same way. And in this system, the incentive is not your financial independence. It's your continued participation. That's why exits are quiet. No warning signs, no alarms. Just a long road back that few people plan for until they're already on it. By the time someone decides they want out, they've often paid far more than they expected. Not because they misunderstood the rules, but because the rules were never the point. The point was duration, how long you stay, how long you carry, how long you accept this as normal. That's the hidden price tag, not the interest rate, not the balance, but the time you didn't realize you were selling. This is usually where videos like this offer advice, tips, rules, a better way to use credit. But advice only matters after understanding the price. Because credit cards are not evil, they are precise. They do exactly what they were built to do. They turn time into revenue. They turn patience into profit. They turn everyday life into a long-term payment plan. Once you see that, the question changes. It's no longer, how do I use credit cards better? It becomes, what am I willing to pay for convenience? Because convenience always has a cost. Sometimes it's interest, sometimes it's stress. Sometimes it's years of attention spent managing something that was supposed to help. The real danger of credit cards is not overspending, it's normalization. The slow acceptance of debt as part of adult life, as something unavoidable, something permanent. But systems only have power as long as they are invisible. Once you can see the price tag, you can decide whether it's worth it. That decision doesn't look the same for everyone, but it starts the same way. By recognizing that every swipe is not just a purchase, it's a trade. Money for time, convenience for control. Every system has a price. This one just doesn't list it. And now you know where to look. If this made you pause, that's enough. You don't need to agree with everything. You don't need to change anything today. Just notice the price next time something feels convenient. If you want to keep exploring the cost we don't usually see, this channel is called The Price Tag. Watch, think, decide for yourself.